Today I want to give you a demonstration on how to use your gradient tool in Illustrator. So I have my new document. If I'm doing my shape robot, it's my last name and then a dash and shape robot. It's saved as a .ai file, that way I can always go back in and change it. So I need a few shapes to get started, so I'll come on down, find my shape button. When I click and hold, I'm going to get all of my different options. If I choose this outer arrow, it will pull the toolbar out, and then I just have my shapes ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of quick shapes. Notice I held down my shift bar, so I was able to get a perfect square there. If I want to put in some eyes, I can move some elements around. There we go. So let's just start with those. So if I want to put a fill inside of this first square, I'm going to come down here where I have my fill and my stroke. So my fill right now is white, my stroke is black. I may not necessarily notice the stroke because I have a bounding box going around the outside. You guys don't have these little circles. That's my version of Illustrator. Don't worry about it, you don't need them. So if I want to change the fill, the first thing I'm going to do is double click in here in my white square. Notice the white square is on top. That means that the fill is going to be what I am adjusting. So let's make it a pink robot. And I have a couple of options. With my stroke, I can leave it as a black stroke. I can adjust the thickness of the stroke and the line weight. So I have a little bit of a difference here. Let's say for example you're trying to change the stroke over here, and you say this is the one I want to use, and I'm going to make it 20 point, and you notice it hasn't done anything. It hasn't done anything because you need to always have the shape selected. You'll know that it's selected because it has the bounding box around it. So a bounding box is made up of the paths and the anchors that will help you make the shape. Now let's say I want to put a gradient into this square. So I'm going to come down here, and if I want to put the gradient inside of the square, I need to make sure that my fill is selected. And remember, we have this color, gradient, and none right in here. If I were to click none, now the box is empty. If I were to click color, it puts the color back in there. And if I were to click gradient, now it's going to automatically put in black and white. So when I come over to my gradient option, I have the linear option and the radial option. So linear is going to be a line, L-I-N-E. Radial is going to radiate, like rays from the sun. I'm going to leave it on linear. And you'll notice when I come down here, this is what's called my gradient slider. The gradient slider goes from one color to another. So if I would like to change the first color, I'm going to click in this little square right here, double click. Now normally you'll see a range of different colors here. If it's coming up and you don't have any color options, you only have black and white, you're going to want to go up, see this little hamburger menu right here, click on that, and notice grayscale is selected. So I'm going to come down to CMYK. CMYK is the color range that we'll be working with. So I'll select that, and now I have all the colors to choose from. So I'll go in, choose my purple. I can also make slight adjustments here to any of the colors. Your other option is that you can always go over here to your swatches and just get automatic colors to choose from. Once I have what I need, I'm going to click off of there. And if I want to change this gradient, I'll click in the box, double click. Now I can choose from one of the swatches, or I can get my palette back. Again, those colors are missing. So if I go to the hamburger menu and click, come down to CMYK, and now I have all my colors back. So let's make this more of a pink color. Let's say, for example, you want to have more colors in your gradient. You can have as many colors as you want. You can also adjust where the transition in color happens. So maybe you just want a little bit of purple over on this side and mostly pink. So you would grab this middle point and slide it wherever you feel it's most necessary. Let's bring it back over here. And let's say I want the pink to be more in the middle, just my midpoint. And then maybe I want to put another color over here on the side. If I bring my cursor right underneath, notice there's a plus sign that shows up right next to my cursor. When I click, it's going to put another color in there. So I'll double click in the square. My colors will pop up, and maybe I want to go back to that same purple. Oops. So I can come back, do something like that, and then I can adjust my midpoint sliders. And now I have a shape that looks like maybe it's a little bit more round. I can go back. If I decide that I want to take the stroke off, select the tool, go over to my stroke. I have color, gradient, and none. If I select none, then my shape does not have an outline. It is just exactly as it should be. And that's how you would use the gradient tool.